Welcome to U.S. Immigration Information. As 2026 moves forward, something meaningful is happening in Washington that many immigrants have been hoping to see for years. After a long stretch of stalled negotiations and limited legislative movement, Congress has begun approving and advancing a series of immigration-related measures that directly affect green cards, U.S. visas, and immigrant families. These are not campaign speeches. They are not symbolic resolutions. They are legislative actions tied to funding, policy directives, and structural changes within the immigration system. And while they do not solve every problem overnight, they represent measurable forward movement in an area that has felt frozen for a long time. In this update, we're going to break down what Congress has approved or moved forward in 2026, what these changes actually do, who stands to benefit, what they do not change, and why this moment brings cautious but genuine optimism for many immigrant families. If you find this information helpful, make sure to subscribe to us, Immigration Information, and turn on notifications so you can stay updated as these developments unfold. Let's start with why 2026 feels different. For several years, immigration reform has been one of the most politically difficult topics in Congress. Large comprehensive reform packages repeatedly stalled. Meanwhile, green card backlogs grew, visa processing slowed, and families remained separated. In 2026, instead of one sweeping overhaul, Congress has taken a more incremental but practical approach. Multiple immigration-related provisions have been approved as standalone bills or incorporated into broader legislative packages. Some have already passed one chamber and moved to the next stage. Others have been signed into law as part of funding measures tied to government operations. Taken together, these actions signal that lawmakers are acknowledging a simple reality. The immigration system cannot remain stagnant while demand increases and families wait year after year. One of the most significant areas of progress involves green card availability and backlog relief. For years, tens of thousands of immigrant visas went unused due to administrative delays, processing slowdowns, and pandemic-related disruptions. At the same time, families and workers remain stuck in long waiting lines. Newly approved provisions in 2026 focus on reclaiming unused immigrant visas from prior fiscal years and reallocating them to applicants already in line. This is particularly relevant for family-based and employment-based green card applicants who have been waiting for years. These measures do not erase backlogs entirely, but they prevent green cards from being permanently lost due to technical or administrative inefficiencies. In practical terms, that could mean faster movement in certain categories as reclaimed visa numbers are redistributed. Family-based immigration has also seen important legislative attention. Congress has advanced provisions aimed at protecting spouses and children from aging out due to long delays. In the past, some children lost eligibility because they turned 21 while waiting in backlogs. The updated measures strengthen safeguards so that children are less likely to lose their place in line simply because the system moved too slowly. For families who have been separated across borders for years, these protections matter deeply. They add predictability and reduce the risk of sudden eligibility loss. Employment-based immigrants are another major group affected by 2026 legislation. Several bills approved or advanced this year address long-standing issues in employment green card backlogs, especially for high-skilled workers who have lived and worked in the United States for many years under temporary visa categories. By adjusting how visa numbers are counted and carried forward between fiscal years, Congress is taking steps to reduce uncertainty for workers who contribute to key industries such as healthcare, technology, research, and engineering. For many employment-based immigrants who have been renewing temporary status for a decade or more, this legislative movement signals recognition of their long-term presence and economic contribution. Temporary visa stability is another area where Congress has acted. Approved measures strengthen protections for certain visa holders facing delays caused by government backlogs. In some cases, individuals waiting for extensions or status adjustments are granted clearer authority to remain lawfully employed and present in the United States while their cases are pending. This matters for everyday life. Employment authorization affects access to income, health insurance, housing stability, and school enrollment for children. Legislative steps that improve continuity during processing delays can reduce disruption for entire families. Processing reform is, honestly, another major theme in 2026. Congress has authorized funding aimed at modernizing immigration processing systems. This includes digital upgrades, staffing increases, and accountability measures designed to reduce inefficiencies within agencies such as USCIS and the State Department. Modernization efforts focus on expanding online filing systems, improving case tracking transparency, and reducing manual bottlenecks that contribute to those long delays. These improvements will not be immediate, though. Agencies must issue guidance, update procedures, train staff, and implement new systems. But the direction is, clearly toward modernization rather than stagnation. It is equally important to clarify what these legislative approvals do not accomplish. They do not instantly eliminate all green card backlogs. They do not guarantee immediate permanent residency for everyone waiting. They do not replace the need for broader structural reform in the future. What they do represent is forward movement. For many immigrants, the most frustrating aspect of recent years has been inaction. In 2026, that inaction has shifted toward incremental but meaningful progress. There is also a broader political dimension worth noting. Immigration reform has historically been deeply divisive. The fact that lawmakers were able to approve and advance multiple immigration-related measures suggests a move toward pragmatism. Instead of debating comprehensive reform without results, Congress appears to be focusing on targeted changes that can realistically pass. That shift may not make headlines as dramatic as sweeping proposals, but it often produces more durable outcomes. For families waiting abroad, these changes could translate into faster case movement once visa numbers become available and processing improvements take effect. For families inside the United States, the changes bring more predictability and less risk of losing eligibility due to bureaucratic delays. For workers, it signals acknowledgement that long-term temporary status without a clear path forward is not sustainable. Timing is another critical factor. Even after congressional approval, implementation requires agency guidance and operational adjustments. Immigrants may not see immediate changes reflected in their case timelines. However, the legislative direction is clearly oriented toward relief and modernization rather than new restrictions. Misinformation often spreads during moments like this. Some headlines may exaggerate what has been approved, suggesting that all backlogs are gone. Others may dismiss the changes entirely. The reality is balanced. Congress has not passed a single comprehensive immigration overhaul, but it has approved meaningful pieces that collectively move the system forward. For immigrants, the best approach right now is steady awareness. Keep your case information current. Monitor official agency updates. Prepare documents in advance. Stay informed about visa bulletin changes if you are in a preference category. This is not a time to abandon applications or assume nothing will improve. It is also not a time to assume immediate results without implementation. It is a time for careful planning and realistic optimism. Looking ahead, these 2026 legislative steps may lay the foundation for additional reforms. Momentum in immigration policy often builds gradually. Once Congress demonstrates that progress is possible, additional measures become more achievable. For many families, this is the first time in several years that immigration news carries a sense of cautious possibility rather than constant uncertainty. Challenges remain. Backlogs still exist. Implementation will take time, but the system is no longer completely still. We will continue tracking how these approved bills are implemented, which provisions take effect first, and how they impact green card and visa processing timelines in real-world cases. Here at U.S. Immigration Hub, we provide comprehensive information about visitor visas such as B1 and B2, work visas, including L1A, L1B, and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas like EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family-based immigration pathways. If you haven't already, please subscribe to U.S. Immigration Information and turn on notifications so you never miss important developments that could impact your immigration journey. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next update.